This episode is presented to you by NFL Sunday Ticket, now on YouTube and YouTube TV. With NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV, you can watch your favorite teams' out-of-market Sunday games, plus watch up to 4 games at once with Multiview. Don't miss the race to the playoffs. NFL Sunday Ticket is now just $39 when bundled with YouTube TV, where you get even more football. Visit youtube.com/Spotify offer to sign up now. Lowest price on YouTube TV with base plan. Rest of 2023 season. Terms and embargoes apply. No cancellations.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool that helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/Pixel NBA. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements.
This episode is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. It's snowing again, and that wind chill is killer. But you're not worried about that because you shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection. It's warmth perfected with tiny gold dots that reflect your body heat inside and protect you from the cold outside. No snow or chilly temps can stop you now. Go out anyway. Shop the Omni Heat Infinity Collection now at Columbia.com/infinity.
Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
Of those three, who's the heir apparent to Peter Vermees? Those three, and we get 3 more years of Vermees.
Benny.
Not Ilya?
No. Ilya's too nice.
Yep, he'd be a good assistant coach.
I can't see Ilya going, damn it, you need to move the ball faster. No, move, I can't see him doing that.
Was that your Spanish accent?
Oh, I was thinking it was German. It's like Vermees German? What?
Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another episode of the Shades of Blue Soccer Show. The whole gang is here. The whole Blue Testament is here. We got Chad Smith in the Zoom with us as well. Tuesday night, some time has passed. I think everyone's feeling better about the game. Emotions are not riding high. We're going to talk about the last game. We're going to talk about the state of the team, Vujnovic, all the attackers, and we'll get to the RSL game as well. But is there anyone here that is the pessimist, that plays the pessimist on this show? I want to go ahead and assume the optimist role because that's what I've fallen into here. I'm not mad about these games really yet.
So Robert, you want to be the pessimist?
I need someone that I can argue with. Can we do this? Are we a good show like that? Are we well-rounded?
Well, I thought I'd point out that both teams did exceed their expected goals. Sporting 0.6, I think it was. So, yay.
Advanced analytics already. We're only 30 seconds in. Good job, guys. So, no, that's all you got. That wasn't negative in any way. I want someone to come out firing here. We need to be angry. We need to represent the angry Sporting KC fan base and properly attack. Where's the fire Vermees? That has to be getting shouted somewhere. That was shouted after the first match. So I want to represent.
Cody, Chicago's expected goals was 1.6 and they scored 3. So yeah, that was negative.
Well, Cody, I'll bite. So our midfield looked terrible. And there's been a continuing trend through the first 4 games, which is that individual errors in the midfield are leading to turnovers, which is putting our back line at risk. It's what Yuri did to give up that led to the first goal for Atlanta. In this game, Remi played poorly, Roger played poorly, and continuing to turn the ball over in the midfield continues to hurt us. Amelia had a couple howlers. I don't know that ruins the whole season. I don't think that's a common thing for Tim.
Right.
But, another concerning thing for me was that I thought Courtney Ford was really bad.
Yes, I agreed.
Couldn't pass, couldn't cross, couldn't do. I mean, defended okay-ish, but you compare him to Fontes, and he was abysmal passing.
I was also let down by Ben Sweat too, another starter out there. The first goal was they didn't put it on him. They just kept saying a giveaway in the midfield, but it was just a horrible giveaway. Like he passed it straight to the other team on that one, and then I didn't see a whole lot the rest of the game from him.
And I don't know that this is going to be an indictment of the whole season, but missing so many players. Our second team doesn't have enough quality to continue to be competitive, right? So last year when Seattle was missing Roldan, they were missing Nico Lodeiro, they were missing Jordan Morris. They were still at the top. They were top 3 in the West all season long with guys who weren't necessarily starters. And then you compare that to us, and I know we were missing Daniel. I know we were missing Johnny. We're missing Pulido. We were missing Shelton. We were shit. We were terrible. Mm-hmm. And we grew into the game. It got a little bit better, but at no point did we really look that dangerous. We had long spells of possession, but we never really looked that dangerous. And as Robert pointed out, we only had 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 shot-based XG. You're not going to win any games that way. So it certainly was bad, and it's continuing a bad trend through 4 games.
Go ahead, Chad.
So I think it's funny that we all started off like all shaking our heads like, no, none of us are going to be pessimistic where nobody's going to do it. And then David comes in here throwing it down. I'll agree with you on they didn't look dangerous, really.
Yes, +1.
Yeah, I'll agree. No one looked dangerous, but I think some of those takes are a little harsh. I didn't think the midfield looked awful by any means. The midfield was weird because I don't know how many people were in the midfield. 4 people were in the midfield. They're playing a diamond, maybe. I don't know what exactly was going on out there. But I thought Walter was good until he made that one mistake. Now, granted, that mistake led to the 3rd goal, but it also was both fullbacks were way up the field. One of the center backs was way up the field. I think Izzy headed the ball backwards and put Remi in a bad situation with his back to goal, and he gets his pocket pick like half a second later. Maybe that's, he should know and release that quicker, but I don't think he was terrible. I didn't think Espinoza was terrible. I thought Duke and Hernandez, the other midfielders, played pretty admirably, right? They're figuring things out. But I think what we're ignoring in all this is that they're playing this weird formation with one forward, and they were trying to bunker in, and basically I think they were going for a draw, or maybe they'd pick off a win and be happy with it. But what ended up ultimately happening is Melia lets in a ball he never lets in a million years, and it all fell apart from there because the plan to bunker didn't work, which I will criticize Vermees in the fact that they came out from halftime in the exact same formation, but they're down a goal. You can't keep playing the 5-4-1 if you need to score a goal. I
just love this conversation so much where it's like Vermees is in the 4-3-3 for a decade, most so many soccer fans entire fandom, and then they come out with this new formation, and all of the soccer journalists, all of our bloggers are like, what in the hell was that? We have no idea what this was. What's going on? We're just entirely lost by it.
Well, as Thad may say, it may have looked like a 5-4-1 when they put it out, but it really played more like a 3-5-2, 3-5-1-1, because those wingbacks were awful wide. And of course, late in the game, we see Izzy playing as a center forward, which may not be a bad idea, but it played differently than a 5-4-1 for sure.
Well, David, you were saying that things were it was terrible, and I don't yes, Sporting played terrible. I don't disagree with that, but even they played terrible with all of those injuries, everything that happened, and they were still, two goals that Tim Melia is rarely ever going to give up, and the 3rd goal was a very soft penalty. And so, as bad as that game was, holy shit, they were right there. Honestly, that game could have fallen another way, and they still could have scrapped out a point out of that. If Timmy doesn't get nutmegged, the ball went under him twice in one game. How, on what planet? How many times is that ever going to happen again?
Yeah, and I don't think it was terrible. Honestly, I think they were playing different than we're used to, right? They were not afraid to just kick the ball down the field and clear it long and just reset and defend. And we're used to Sporting playing attractive soccer where they try to possess the ball and cut through the lines and make dangerous runs. And basically the only guys making runs were Vujnovic and Duke, right? Like everybody else was kind of hanging back. Maybe they charge up when numbers got going or when we got behind, and then everybody was down the field. Not only was Izzy playing center forward at times, Courtney Ford was up playing center forward at times too. One point, Fontes was all alone. He was the only person back. I'm like, oh yes, let's leave the slowest man on the earth back to defend everybody.
Well, I'm fine with calling that terrible. Like the expected goals, they like David was saying, the offense never seemed really quite much of a threat, and that's why I still think it's that, don't feel bad about saying that it's terrible. I don't think that would continue, especially with all the injuries and, the first time playing a new formation. But it's just, why I think it's that amazing that the game could have gone very differently.
I think it was just terrible by design. Like they weren't trying to possess the ball and win the game. They were trying to defend. They were trying to do what teams do to Sporting all the time, right? Just sit back and hit on the counter, and they just didn't have anybody to hit on the counter. So,
yeah.
And just going back to something you said earlier, is I don't think that was so much as a desire to do so, as they just didn't have the players to play anything else. Yeah. So it wasn't like we're going to do this today because we aren't doing well. They just literally did not have the amount of forwards that they need to play a 4-3-3. You know how many times Peter has played a 4-3-3 and you got maybe one guy who doesn't really fit that, but he doesn't want to change the other 10 guys. So he goes ahead and does it. Well, this is a situation where he couldn't just change one guy. He would have to change 3 or 4 guys. And thus we end up and they don't have any of those guys who are really true attackers other than Vujnovic, Giannis, Ozzy Cisneros, who I don't think you really want to put him out there under bad situations right now. You want to, like, when he does get time, you want to let him grow into that still a bit. I think it's the only choice they had. That's the problem, is they didn't have a lot of time to work on it. That's not what they've been taught this whole time. And their whole mindset has been, it doesn't always work, but their whole mindset is possession, possession, possession. So when you don't play that, you're not going to look great. Even though I don't think they played terrible other than a few mistakes here and there, it's just not going to look good when you're not used to it.
David, I think I want to get back to Courtney Ford there and talk about that, but we're kind of on the attackers right now. And so is anyone nervous or worried about the Vujnovic signing after his first 2 matches? Are we throwing in the towel yet? Okay, Thad hasn't given up. All right. I'm happy then.
Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about him at all, Nikola at all, nor am I worried about Giannis. But I don't know, I'm kind of wanting to talk more about Duke and Hernandez and our thoughts on those 2 guys, because they were supposed to be, they're more knowing the system, et cetera. They're supposed to be providing some of that attacking impetus in the midfield. And what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on their performances these last couple of games?
Yeah, that's a valid question. This most recent game, I would chuck it up to, those are young guys, and while we do want to see them kind of put the team on their back or step up in some way, it's hard to do that when it is such a makeshift lineup, and when you're trying to make sure you're doing the right thing in this new lineup that you've just in this new system that you've just learned. And so I think that probably played into a little bit. But yeah, like we spoke before the first game, that those are 2 players that we were gonna keep our eye on this year and wanted to see them come out of the gate really strong, and I don't think we have yet.
Yeah, and in defense of Hernandez, remember he didn't play for half a year last year.
Right,
he's basically, I mean, it's almost like he's coming off an injury. And we can say the same defense for Courtney Ford and Ben Sweat. Both of those guys are getting their game legs back under him under not the best circumstances. But that's the way it is for Felipe. But even if you don't think Felipe and Cam played well last game, they are the primary and secondary assist on the 1 goal Sporting scored out of a 19 pass series that did look not too bad once they started to get their legs under him in that system.
Did he get the hockey assist get credited on that play?
Yeah, it did.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that was a bright point for those 2 guys. who are you guys more impressed with between the 2 as far as their performances? I see Hernandez I agree totally with Thad that, he's had a whole half season off and he's going to take time to adjust.
For me, it's Duke has been more impressive. Like, they took Hernandez out of the game 2 matches ago against Colorado for like a shoulder injury. And I didn't see where he got hurt. And I never saw him favoring his shoulder. And then he was never on the injury report. I was like, was it really that he was hurt, or was Vermees just wanting to change something, or was he unhappy with something? But then he was right back in there starting the next game. So was that kind of like Thad was talking about, out of necessity, because they just don't have any healthy bodies? I don't know if you guys have seen, it's going to be potentially even worse this week, depending on it. If anybody comes back from injury, they literally are eligible to hardship call up a player. There's so few bodies available unless one of these guys bounces back.
Have you been watching Twitter?
I did see the tweet. I have it in my preview that'll be out by the time you're probably hearing this podcast.
Tease. Good job. Thad never misses a chance to tease.
So, I don't know that I'm more impressed with one or the other. Duke is a foul magnet, and he creates a level of dynamism that we don't have with any other player, right? Except for maybe Gadi Kinda. His ability to turn on the ball and explode forward and draw contact it's a unique skill set on our team. And he's been really good at that. And we talked about this a podcast or two ago about, is he better as a starter running at people for 60 minutes, or is he better as a super sub off the bench where he can run at tired legs? I want to give them a little bit of a pass on their performance because they are younger guys who are drilled kind of in the specific system come up through the academy and through the second team. Whereas you'd expect a veteran like Roger or a guy like Remi who hasn't developed in the Sporting system to be able to adapt a little bit differently. So it's different. The roles and responsibilities are different playing in a diamond, especially when you're playing at the top of the diamond like Duke was, where you're either kind of playing as an underneath forward / like attacking midfielder role. It's a totally different role than playing that dueling 8 box-to-box / attacking midfield thing that we usually do when we're playing a 3-man midfield. Our spacing was all off because we don't normally play this system. The 4-3-3 creates a lot of width typically, and then we have our wingers pinch in and cut in on their dominant foot so that they can then, they almost plays inverted wingers so they can get attacks in the box. With a diamond, you don't have that width, and then you have to get your width from your wing backs. And so the spacing then gets all off between the players. So I think Felipe probably deserves some sort of a break in terms of his performance. But if you compare him to Roger, let's say just in terms of defensive actions, because they were both playing those box-to-box 8 positions, they each had 2 tackles. Felipe had a better success rate on his pressures. He was at 36%. Success rate on his pressures. Roger was at 23%. Roger had 1 extra block on a pass, but then between tackles and interceptions, Felipe beat him at that as well. So when I'm looking at troubles in the midfield, I'm not worried about the young kid who took some time off, who's clearly growing back into the game. I'm worried about, how old is Roger? 46?
Oh,
194.
God, boo.
No,
I think he's your age, David.
Sorry, yeah. He probably is and he probably beat the shit out of me if you heard this. But
yes, he will.
At the same time,
we're having him on next week, so we'll
the whole conversation we had in the offseason was, it's cool to re-sign Roger for 1, the right money, and 2, the right amount of minutes. And I know some of this is necessity with Gotti being out, with Yuri being out. But I think it's pretty clear through 4 games that Roger got old, and he might be the weak link in the midfield right now.
You didn't notice that last year?
I was too busy hating on Shelton last year.
No,
I thought Roger looked old at the end of last year, but I thought he was decent at the beginning of the year. And honestly, I don't think he's been terrible this year. Like, I don't know. Maybe my eyes probably don't work.
He's playing more.
He's just not Roger. That's the only thing. Is Roger is, when Roger was at his best, he was one of the most imposing midfielders in MLS. I don't know the right word. Imposing.
Stuck in.
Yeah, I mean he made Sporting good because he could do a lot of ground. He could do a lot of the defensive work that others didn't have to do and stuff like that.
And he had some.
He is not that same guy.
Yeah, he's just not that same guy. He doesn't have the hair anymore. He doesn't do the crazy pictures of Roger anymore.
Well, some of them are kind of still, but yeah. But he's still a decent midfielder. He's just not the Roger that we knew 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and he's never going to be again. And especially when he has to play every game. I would love to get it to the point where Sporting's winning a game and he comes in the last 20 minutes and just beats the shit out of some Seattle player. But that's not where we're at right now because of injuries and such forth.
I was getting really.
That's also Tim's job.
All right, you guys are making me really sad there for a minute, but all right, I'm smiling now.
Well, another way to look at Roger too is this: maybe MLS has changed since Roger's been in the league.
True.
And the type of player that he is maybe is an MLS 3.0, and now we're moving into 4.0. You know, you got more talented midfielders on the ball. Yeah, you've got to have the guys who do Roger type things, but we've got guys in the league who can do Roger type things and be good on the ball and be, good passers, good attackers. And Roger's always been a decent passer, but not.
He's currently one of the leading scorers for Sporting.
Yeah, right. But I think maybe the league getting a little bit stronger is an impact there too.
All right, with your 0.0s and your 4.0s, get out of here. When did 3.0 end?
I hate that
MLS
nonsense.
is growing, man.
I remember when Atlanta put that TIFO out and it was like 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever. And I'm like, how well did that work? And they've promptly been hot garbage since they won that title. So,
well, that's called coaching problems.
Yeah, that's true.
So I did want to talk about the defense as well. I could be mistaken, but I didn't think Courtney Ford was the number 3 center back in that depth chart. I wasn't assuming that was the case. I guess I was assuming that Veloter, even though I had never seen him play a single game ever and knew nothing about we just signed a new center back. I'm like, all right, he's probably number 3, right? But
I think what it is Robert Volader is behind Fontes and Ford is behind Izzy. They're more of those like for like things, and Volader just hasn't been there very long. Like you could tell he looked uncomfortable at times in preseason, and he just needs time in the system, which is basically every new player on the team that missed all of preseason.
Yeah.
Ndembe, Jean-Yves, Vujnovic didn't even arrive until like 2 days before he made his debut. They just need more time.
Although Courtney Ford did come in for Fontes when Fontes went out last game or the game before, 2 games ago or 3 games ago.
Yep, that is. That's right.
That's in true. Colorado. That's right. So,
but didn't Cave Rad come on as well?
What's that?
Did Cave Rad come on as well to that game?
No, he has not played yet.
Oh, wow. I literally had a dream about this then. Okay, cool.
You're dreaming about Cave?
Apparently. I like good names. He's got a good name. What can I say?
He does. He does. I just think, again, it's like Ford has MLS experience. He has playing in the U.S. experience even last year with the USL. So he's still not back to where he was, but he's got that experience in MLS where Veloter doesn't. So that's probably the biggest thing about him getting in before anybody else.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed this at the one home game we've gotten to go to, but like there's a rule about how many people who can be warming up at a time. So there's always a couple people sitting on the bench because they can't have all 9 of your bench players warming up. And it's always that everything I've seen, it's been Poolskamp and Volader sitting on the bench, not getting to warm up. Like they might run over for a minute and then they go right back to sitting because the guys that are more likely to go into the game are the ones that are down there warming up.
Yep. I do think Volader can be good from the things I've seen from him. Just watching the little bit of practice we've got to see the last couple times. I can see good stuff out of him, but I just don't think he's quite there yet. So
thank you for all being really nice to me about not making fun of me for saying in a very Missouri Veloter. And then you all just like calmly just started pronouncing it correctly. I like Veloter.
I would have actually just been calling him Robbie, but because Chad broke the Volader cherry, I went ahead and went with it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was listening to the pronunciations from the players, so I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to be like Nate. He's always Did we know that it was Jordan Shaqiri? Did anybody know that? Who knew?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's not right.
There's no way that.
And I didn't care.
There's way too many letters in that name for it to just be Jordan. There's no way.
Well, so Cody, if we fine you for mispronouncing,
no, too much time has passed.
No, well, no. Here's a question though: would you be able to buy a backup power cord to keep in the bag so that we could record our podcast? We say we're going to record the podcast.
Well, actually, probably about 4 of them because we need one at everybody's house.
Right.
I was hoping I was going to make it through this podcast without that coming up.
So
but I guess
I don't know if anybody listened to last pod that's listening to this one. I'm sure there's a lot of people, but last time we had a test run before we actually recorded. This week we kind of had the same thing. We had a little test run yesterday.
we're all learning together, guys, right? We're all getting better together. We're on this journey together, us and our listeners.
Yes, we are.
Cody, I want it noted, I did not bring that up.
Okay,
I didn't either, but I went with it once he did.
Okay, we're going to take a very quick break and we'll be back to talk about the RSL game.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
We are back. I just threw a curveball on everyone else in the Zoom. No one was ready for that in any way, but we're back.
That was a good commercial, though.
Wasn't it?
I'm definitely buying that product and or service.
Okay, Real Salt Lake.
I can't wait to find out what's actually in there.
Real Salt Lake. Another home match, finally. Who do we have? Who's our resident RSL expert? I'm going to go to David. Can I go to David?
Oh, do you have to?
It looked like you were frantically searching for something there. No?
I can jump in. I've written the preview already for the game. And,
perfect.
I was actually
RSL
trying to go to whoever was the least prepared there. But
my apologies. I didn't know we were actually trying to make it bad.
No, that would be like that other pod.
So that could be any podcast, right?
That's the fun of it.
So they are the best team in the league, guys. They have the best record in Major League Soccer.
What? That's not possible.
Technically, like on goal differential or something, they're not first, but they're tied with LAFC and the Philadelphia Union. They have won 3 games, drawn 1, and they are undefeated.
My word.
They don't actually play much, though, because they got Ochoa, right?
Well, Ochoa is actually injured. So I know David is probably upset that he won't be able to yell at Ochoa and say awful things and talk about his punchable face, but he will not be playing on Saturday.
So, Chad, I left the Cauldron. I grew up and got big kid seats, and so I feel like it's less appropriate.
This guy.
Those things when there's children around. So you got PG David in the stands this year.
I don't know about that, but
real quick, before we really dive into the RSL game, I would just like to point something out, even though I just went full Skip Bayless, negative Nancy.
Because we really get in depth in games a lot. So before we get too into the weeds, David,
for the sake of the pod, I did my best Stephen A. Smith. We're 4 games into the season. We're in 12th. Not great. Not where any of us want to be. But 4 games into the season, RSL's in 2nd, and they did not improve their team in the offseason. They, in fact, lost their best player to Seattle. But Seattle's in 10th. Nashville's in 11th. Portland, who went to the championship game last year, is in 9th. Colorado, who won the West last year, is in 6th. The results are kind of all over the place right now. And looking at the season previews from the pundits who are supposed to know things like Matt Doyle, all the way down to morons like me, all of us kind of predicted that Seattle, Portland, Nashville, Colorado, Kansas City would all be playoff teams. So I'm not sure that it's really time to hit the panic button yet. While I'm sure Nashville and Seattle fans are also all up in arms. I haven't ventured over to Sounder at Heart to see if any of them are on suicide watch. It's real early in the season. It's a long season.
Well, it was a strong take, but your Stephen A. Smith wasn't very good.
I did Stephen A. Smith earlier.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, that was when he was like kind of ripping on everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Ford was garbage. Sweat was garbage. That whole thing.
I don't know. I said garbage. They said Roger's really old.
See, that's the problem.
Yeah. By the way, 35.
We need to have more sound bites. We need to have more angry and emotional people on this show giving hard takes that are ready to take the heat on Twitter, and that's how you go viral. That's how you get a show going.
Honestly, the hard takes,
Such a disappointment.
We're defending the team. That's the hard takes, right? Like when you were asking for hard takes, I went to look at some of my tweets to see the angry subtweets where people are like responding to my tweet. Because I said, I think as soon as the final whistle blew, I said something like, I'm not worried. It's 4 games. The season is ridiculously long. It's going to be fine. And like everybody is just like fire Vermees and all this garbage in the tweets, but you can't read it. I just don't respond to the negative people. I should start blocking some of them, honestly. The same people say the same crap every week.
Well,
give them power by
not to get too deep in the weeds before we go into the RSL preview, but perfect segue to Cauldron Facebook post of the week.
Let's do it.
Brought to you by Dude Wipes.
We need some branding. We need imaging for this.
The Cauldron Facebook post of the week is brought to you by Brian, who said, our roster is as thin as a meth addict's t-shirt. And I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it made me laugh and cry at the same time.
That's good.
Brian wins.
Facebook page never disappoints. Wonderful addition of the Cauldron Facebook page there. Okay, I have a good way to begin we're going to go back to back on bits here. A good way to begin the RSL preview that we've been talking about beginning for a few minutes now. I have a mic stat, everyone. Another thing that we need some imaging for, some branding here. Mic stat. Okay, from down the byline. A mic stat.
Okay. Wait, should we have imaging? This is a audio media. Should we not have like a sound effect or something?
Mic stat. Okay. Melia will make his league start number 200. Espinoza will make start 300 in all competitions. Zusi will pass Beasler for minutes played in all competitions as well. That is 3 big players making 3 big milestones right there.
And we continue to have one of the oldest lineups in the league.
You're assuming Tim Melia's not being benched for letting in 1.5 howlers?
Mike stat.
Nothing.
I think this is a good time to bench Zusi for the rest of the season.
Oh, that's how we go viral.
That's a hard take.
That is a hard take. Skip Bayless over here on the pod.
Not based on performance. Not based on performance. You can't let him pass hometown hero and for the pod, Matt Beasler.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point. We need to protect these milestones here, can't we?
He's a Kansas City legend.
Your Zusi hate, I was like, this is on another level. I feel like Zusi's been pretty solid this year. Like maybe he kept somebody on side on a play one time, but like otherwise not too bad.
Well, David, I don't know if you missed the bombshell of an interview that Beasler did with this very show, but the relationship between the two sides might not be as flowery as it once was, because he dropped some bombshells about the way he left, and it was a big, huge thing, and it went viral, and everyone knew about this podcast. There was a lot of good information in it. It was a huge deal. Everyone heard it. So yeah, that's if you haven't heard that, go back and listen to it. So maybe the two sides are not in as peaceful and amicable as we once thought.
And the two sides being Beasler and Sporting, not Beasler and Zusi.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I think those two are good friends, because I think somebody asked Zusi about passing him, and he was pretty, Zusi's just so nice and polite all the time.
Hey, maybe
very soft spoken.
Actually, that does give us an excuse to maybe cut up that 1.5 hour interview that you guys did with Beasler, and we can cut it up and re-release it in a condensed version and get to the big fun parts that everyone liked in there, and also show the part where they were having just a normal conversation, and then Robert was just like, so concussions in the sport, huh? That's pretty crazy. And just like dumped this huge
Let's get serious for a moment here.
They were just like chilling. All of a sudden he just like, it didn't ask like a specific way. He was just kind of like, wow, concussions, man. That's pretty crazy. What do you think about the league handling that? And he was like,
that's not how I said it, but okay.
Beasler was like,
I really wish you could have seen Beasler's face when he did that, though. It was like
I warned him.
You're going to go there, huh?
For a moment.
Yeah, he was just like, wow. Oh, okay, we're doing that right now.
Did that go on the cutting room floor? I don't recall that in the podcast.
It's all on there. That's what I'm saying. We'd have to cut this up. We'll cut it up and then we'll talk about it on a show, and we can write do it properly, like write a little blog along with it and quote him, and maybe it'll get picked up because there was some relevant news in there. The interview happened like the day before the Chiefs were in the AFC Championship, so it didn't go very well.
Maybe that's a sound effect you can pull out those. Oh, you want to go there, or however he said that. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's a good idea. All right, well, hey, go back to the RSL thing that we were working on. I'm going to sound an ominous note for some of you who might remember some opponents' goals recently. Last game, both of RSL's goals, one was directly off a corner in which Bobby Wood was left entirely unmarked at the front post, and one off a recycled free kick in which another player was left entirely unmarked at the back post. So ominous, maybe, hopefully not.
You got to mark the lethal goal scorer of Bobby Wood. Am I right? That's who's going to destroy us this weekend. That I'm going to take over the mantle for David here and talk shit on Bobby Wood all show tonight. And then he's definitely going to score a brace on us over the weekend, but I don't care. Bobby Wood sucks. Don't at me.
That's why he's in Salt Lake.
Perfect fit. Match made in heaven.
Does anybody know if Damir Kreilach is back? If he's healthy? He's missed a few weeks of injury.
Injured. Yeah, he's questionable according to an update from the team today. I forget who my source was on that, but I put it in my story. So, hey, go to thebluetestament.com and read the preview. And I told you guys to go follow this beat writer. So,
Chad, you're such a whore.
Whoa.
Shades of blue after dark.
Yes. No Kreilach and no Ochoa. I'm on board with that.
And no Dax McCarty because he got a red card last game.
Yes, did you?
Well, Dax McCarty doesn't play for RSL. He kicked an RSL player, so he was not going to be in this game regardless. Because
I had to get that in there. Come on,
he's on
accurate,
Nashville.
Partial information.
My God, did you guys see that stomp? That's like I haven't seen as blatant of a stomp like that in a while.
Yeah, it was bad. He said, did you see his video where he apologized? He was saying how he couldn't really rationalize what was happening. He was trying to make some back heel, kick the ball off the player to go out. And I'm like, the man is literally laying on the ball. It is pinned to the ground. It is not going to bounce off of him. And then it just looked like you violently kicked this man. So I'm interested to see what suspension.
Well, guys, I always have to remind you, you can't. Redheads are feisty. They're just We're fiery beings. I'm claiming Dax is a redhead, as a ginger. He's one of us, and fiery things happen. Don't mess with us. Don't fight a ginger.
I think that sounds right.
Oh, he definitely is.
He's ginger, bro.
RSL plays a 3-4-2-1. Bobby Wood at the top. Justin Miram, who made Zusi look real bad last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Be one of the two underneath forwards. I don't really have a good sense of this game. I really don't think RSL
is like every week then.
I really don't. Hey man. I'm just gonna lean into it. I tried dunking on our own team and it didn't work either. So
yeah.
RSL shouldn't be. On paper, they're not that good. I'm not quite sure how they're getting results. We should be fine. Of course, a lot of that depends on how healthy our team is and who's available. But
they're getting healthier.
RSL just doesn't look scary, and they're going to beat us 3-1.
Do you want to give that update? I assume you were there when that quote was given.
Well, I'm not sure which quote that was, but yes.
Chad will take it. Chad will do it if you don't, so you better get it.
But Johnny, Daniel, and Kyrie were all practicing today.
Aha.
And I'm guessing this is the quote but Peter said that doesn't mean they'll be ready.
Okay. Look at that.
Can I respond to David's? You don't know how RSL are getting results. I'll give you something. They've faced two teams that were playing midweek CCL games. They beat Seattle. They've beaten good teams. It's crazy. They beat the Sounders. They beat Nashville. They beat the New England Revolution. But the Revolution and the Sounders played midweek CCL games. So it's like, were they really putting out their best lineup? They're trying to win the CONCACAF Champions League. The Revs were unsuccessful, eliminated after a 3-0 lead from a home leg. Oh my goodness. But the Sounders are going on to face New York City FC, so they could still win it.
Yes, I watched that second leg of the 3-goal comeback. That was wild.
Yeah, and then lost it in PKs. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, Mr. Greenwald, you were worried about Justin Miram. He will be representing his country of Iraq, so he will not be available this weekend.
It's Iraq. That's a fine.
Okay. Voloder or whatever you said. Voloder.
That's just such like a Missouri, like Southern way to say that. I hate myself that came out of my mouth. Voloder.
Thad or Chad, do we have an update on Gadi Kinda? Anything since?
Where is Gadi Kinda? Please
just
return.
That quote from last week where he said he's nowhere near being close. So I'd assume one more week is not making him anywhere near being close.
Yeah, I've not seen him out running or anything. Like Yuri I saw him doing stuff last week, doing certain training on the side with the fitness guy or the trainer, and then doing some running. So I think he's getting closer, but I've not seen Gotti. And when I last asked, I was told he was not doing running. He was doing like certain fitness inside, like, stairs or treadmill or bike, I guess, or something like that. But so I think he's still a ways away.
Can we make this a recurring bit for you guys who attend the press conferences to just ask every chance you get about Gadi Kinda's return? How would Peter react if every presser you asked him
I want the whole press room to unite and ask it in like a funny way, ask it in the exact same wording every week from a different reporter until he just loses his mind.
Yeah, you need to go.
Yeah, I believe you get those Zoom links, so feel free to hop on, Cody. Next one's Friday.
I silently observe oftentimes.
You can speak.
I'm a lurker.
Or a stalker.
But the only questions I will ever want to ask are the ones like we're probably not supposed to ask. Like it's the one that everyone else wants to ask and nobody is.
What?
I don't know. I don't have one. Is this a bit? Did we just develop a new bit for next week? The question that everyone wants to ask in the press room, but no one does because everyone's scared of Peter Vermees and Robo.
I would say I'm not scared of Peter. I just have been made to look stupid enough times by asking bad questions that it teaches you to stop asking bad questions. Well, he's never going to talk bad about his players. So it's tough. It's like you got to figure out ways to get him to give you something.
You said that phrase.
You have to phrase it in the right way that he will answer it and give you something out of it. And I think Gotti has been asked about just about every week, if not every week since then. I didn't ask today because I'd rather use the time today to ask about other stuff. Now, maybe in the presser on Friday, we'll get a Gotti update. But, it's not like it can't be asked. It's not we're afraid to ask about it. It's just me knowing how it works. I know he's not anywhere near ready. So if I ask today and say, I still get he's not ready. He's not doing stuff yet. It's no different than if I ask it Friday or next week because it won't make any difference about him getting out there.
Chad, you started. Sorry, Thad. You started that off saying that you were made to look stupid, that it wasn't your fault, that you weren't being stupid, that maybe someone's being mean, and then you wrapped it up there with because I was asking stupid questions. So okay, that makes sense to me. I get it now.
Well, So, Chad, you also mentioned that he won't talk bad about his current players. Do you think enough time has passed that he would trash talk like Emiliano Amor?
We could go into a deep cut, maybe go back there and see what happened. I think he would probably just say, you guys are living in the past. Let's talk about my team that's on the field today. And
yeah, something on that line. He's not going to talk bad about a former player. Not on the record, not in a presser. I mean, if you get him alone in a off the record kind of conversation, you might get some history or background, but you're not going to get that in a official press opportunity because he's not going to do it. It would not behoove him to talk bad about former players and then have players hear about it.
So
I think I was going to say the most you're going to get is kind of like what we got for Barber and Freeman, where he said, hey, if they still want to play soccer, I wish them the best. Like, if these young kids that have dedicated their entire teenage life to being professional soccer players don't want to play anymore because you cut them? I don't know. I think it was like saying, hey, it looks like based on what they're doing here at practice or whatever that they don't want to. But I don't know if I think Dad's trying to signal to me. Freeman put a brace in the other day.
Yep.
Freeman's agent messaged me and he goes, I tried to tell Sporting that he can score goals.
Okay, I looked at a couple of the goals he scored, and I'm not really impressed by the goals. Like, I know, yes, I get the way that looks, like, haha, I scored 2 goals, but I'm not convinced he's that good. And it's USL.
And there was a tree in goal.
And there's just a tree. They only have trees in the USL that don't move.
Yeah, we know Wilson Harris scored in USL level, so,
Oh, that's actually the one I was thinking of, that goal. They act like that was such a great goal, and I don't think that it was. Whatever.
It wasn't a great goal, but it was a goal.
They can score goals in the USL. Good for them.
I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah, and especially Wilson.
Thank you, Peter.
I mean, I don't have anything against Tyler either. I don't know why Wilson didn't get. I don't know why Wilson left unless he was wanting an opportunity to play.
There you go. There's the first edition of Cody's Game. The question that wasn't asked at the press conference that everyone wanted to. There's been a couple of those. Why did that guy get cut yesterday, Peter? Can you provide any details on that?
No. Screw you. Those questions were asked.
Oh, they were? Okay.
Yes.
Who asked?
So Cody, I think your bit almost combines with wrong answers only. Like, I want Chad to ask, like, does Christian Lobato deserve a stained glass, a statue, or a plaque?
None of the above.
I still want to ask him about the circumstances of Suni Saad's exit, but I'm still stuck on that one from like however many years ago that one was. And I just want to be able to talk about rumors that we've heard, but
yeah, I will never ask that question. That is for sure. Cody, stop lurking.
No,
you can feel free.
I just wanted to toe a line there to make Thad really nervous that I would get the show and our blog in trouble by saying things. I just wanted to toe the line there, and I got his face, I got his palm covering his face, so I succeeded. Now, Thad, would you like to wrap us up with something prophetic?
I understand that the women in Estonia are beautiful.
Okay, fine.
Boom.
I'll give you a boom for that one.
Boom.
For the reference, the inside joke, the off-air joke that you made that none of our listeners are gonna get at all. So on that note, while we're making jokes not for the listeners here, if you enjoyed this podcast, please go subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Look at that, I remembered. Okay, yes, guys. Who's going to the game this weekend? Will I see people there? Lots of hand raise.
Cody will be back in Estonia for undisclosed purposes.
That said, real quick, be sure to watch the Kansas City Current second game of the Challenge Cup on Friday. They looked quite good last Friday. And then Sporting Kansas City 2 are debuting on Sunday.
Who?
And the Kansas City Comets. Kansas City Comets will be playing the same night as Sporting.
All right. Go Sporting and Comets and Current and Sporting and SKC2 and Swift Park Rangers. Woo! Woo!
Don't seem so tough. And 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong and ball gone soft by foot party. team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.